dark. Mark and Steve ignite the spark.
Booyah!
That's what we do.
Back in the studio, Mark. It's been a crazy week since last Saturday.
It has been. Going down to Fancy Farm like that, and it's a great day. It's a great trip, man.
Sure.
Great food.
A lot of fun. The crowd was a little testy, but it was good.
Oh yeah, and it always is. But that's what makes it great.
Sure does.
So yeah, so it's like everyone, welcome to the show today. We're having a little bit of a recap of Fancy Farm from last Saturday.
I'm Steve.
I'm Mark, and
Glad you could join us.
We are Kentucky Talks.
Yeah. So I thought it was very interesting the landscape. I know you've got the list of the candidates that were there. You got a Senate race, right? It's pretty heated. In regards to who some of the top candidates are, there were several candidates there, but not all of them got to speak. And an interesting fact on why not all of the candidates get to speak is because that's Fancy Farm's picnic. And they have a whole committee that determines
who gets to speak, and I'm not sure how I don't know how they make their decision, but I respected the fact that they can make their decision.
Yeah,
I was disappointed.
It's their picnic.
I was disappointed that we didn't get to see a few others speak.
Who were there?
That were there. Yeah, they were there. They were doing. They were there, available, and I know of at least one that was disappointed that they didn't get to take the stage, and that's I can understand that point of view, but I can also understand the point of view that they have a forum, they could decide who gets to get up on stage. It's still disappointing. It's still very disappointing that
absolutely
they didn't take the opportunity to give us to let others speak. But those who did speak were very.
Witty.
There was a lot of witticisms. There was a lot of jabs. A lot of
stabs.
One person in particular was very, very, very much.
I love how you skate around everybody's name. I'm just going to tell you. But that's a very good tease.
We're gonna get there on the names here in a moment. So it started out really well, and I'm trying to bring the names back up. So give me just a second. I had
I'll highlight that you can watch the entire video, unedited from start to finish, from the Star Spangled Banner all the way to the last person speaking, to include some diddling ding ding diddling ding ding diddling because you may have spoke too long. All of that is covered without a single commercial. It's quite a listen, especially if you have not ever been to Fancy Farm. We had a front row seat, and we were dead on the candidate, looking them eyeball to eyeball.
It is. If you haven't gone, you need to go at least once.
Yeah,
I think every Kentuckian should really go and experience it once. Now remember, this is a church picnic that we're going to. The political speeches is just one segment. About a 2-hour segment. This year's a little bit less, so it wasn't as many. For a lot of you out there who may not be as familiar with the political scene year in and year out, this is an off year. There are no elections in Kentucky this year, but Mitch McConnell's seat is up for election next year. He is retiring. He's not retired yet, but he is retiring. And so there are many, many, many Republicans that are vying for that position. I think
there was one Democrat president there. That's
he's not running for that position. He's actually running for Jamie Comer's seat.
Yep.
So we'll talk about him in a little bit too. But usually this is a lot of fun political jabs back and forth. It's hosted by it's generally hosted by a member of the party opposite of the governor.
Right, the MC.
They have some rules and structure around this. So if a Republican is
the governor,
then the MC is generally a Democrat. So
prominent Democrat.
It goes back and forth. So the MC for the very first time was a lady. Her name was Ashley. Let's see, Ashley Watts, I believe is her name. Let me make sure I got that right. And she was on the game. I mean, she was excellent. She was jabbing. She jabbed everybody.
Yeah.
She pulled no punches, and She talked about Republicans. She talked about Democrats. And again, Ashley Watts, she is the president of the Chamber of Commerce of Kentucky. So she's the Kentucky statewide Chamber of Commerce president. And so she did an excellent job. And there's a couple things that they went through. And if you guys go back and watch this, I mean, you'll see it all live out there. Not live, it'll be a recording, but you'll see us. We commented on it live at the time. They did honor Mitch McConnell for his years of service. He talked about he took the stage, talked about he was discussed his legacy and the changing political landscape in Kentucky and just some of the general things. We didn't get into a lot of controversial things, but we did talk a little bit. He talked about how things are now compared to when he was coming into.
Well, that gets into a different conversation too, because there was a lot of folks there protesting about term limits, and I think that there's some good measure in that conversation. But you can't get anything done if you're a one and done rep.
It's the thing about term limits. And you know me.
Let's not open up the can of worms.
Well,
but
you did though.
Just a little bit.
You don't. You can't.
It's like taking
pressure
and you go. Psh,
there's pressure under that.
There's a lot of pressure.
So when you pop it, it explodes, right? I mean, even if you don't open it a lot, it's like Pandora's box. And once it's open, it's open, right?
Yeah.
But I'll leave it at this. I mean, there's a lot of back and forth, and I have my particular. It's not like I don't want change, but I do. But the thing is that we typically will make decisions on things like term limits, and not think of the consequences of the long term. If the consequences of term limits are this. You are now telling somebody, if you make a law, right, that says, okay, let's say, especially if it was a federal law, a federal law comes out and says, oh, you cannot, you're going to say nationwide, you're going to say, well, Kentucky, you cannot pick the person you want to be in office because, well, he's term limited, right? He spent 2 terms in office, and he or she has exhausted their eligibility, and now you must choose someone else, even though you really like the person that was there. Well, you can't do that when it comes to representation. I understand that from the executive standpoint, that you don't want an executive to have this turnover of power over and over and over again.
Right.
So I understand the term limits on the president. And I would even say maybe we should do term limits on. Maybe we should force term limits on leadership roles, like Speaker of the House or President of the the President of the Senate is the Vice President, so that's term limited anyway. But the Majority Leader and stuff like that, maybe that should move a little bit. But I don't think that you should ever be able to say that somebody can't send the one person they want. That I can't vote for the person I want to represent me. I think that the best way to do term limits on representatives and senators is to get people out there and learn how to get people elected. Care about the thing is a lot of people don't care about elections until it's right at election time, and therefore they don't
as informed.
They're not as informed. They don't understand how much time it takes to actually run for office. And I invite everybody to go run for office sometime. Go find a small office around your community that you can go run for. Understand what it takes to go and meet the people. It's a great experience when you go out and meet people.
You gotta be a good listener, and you gotta be ready to listen to everyone.
Whether you agree with them or not.
Whether you agree with them or not, because they're still a constituent, whether they vote for you or not.
But anyway, back to Fancy Farm. So Fancy Farm is a church picnic. I mean, you look on the sheet. It's
got St. Teresa's this week.
So it's the exact same thing as going to St. Teresa's church picnic. This is St. Jerome's Fancy Farm Picnic.
So
the
as
145th.
Yeah, the background on this is way back, a governor was running in a race. Short story.
It was Happy Chandler.
Happy Chandler, Governor Happy Chandler, not our Happy Chandler, but probably of a descent. But
well, you know, people. There's a lot of people still around that didn't know who Happy Chandler was.
Yeah,
yeah.
But anyway, he showed up to this, and it was the clincher that made the difference. And ever since then, because of the timing of when the elections were, because they were actually at a different date, it was like this was the last hurrah before the election day.
Well, you remember the story. The way the story goes is Kentucky used to have their primary in August, so this was your opportunity to get heard right before the election. And there wasn't back then. There wasn't a ton of opportunities like this. It wasn't like you had media like you do now.
Which means next year's Fancy Farm is going to be huge because it's right
Happy
before
Chandler,
a big election.
I guess the story goes. I think it was Happy Chandler. If I'm wrong with that, somebody. Okay.
No, that's correct. I remember.
But the way the story goes is that Happy Chandler then once politicians are like baseball players. Once something works, they try to make everything exactly the same. They wear the same socks. They wear, you know what I mean? Well, with politicians, if you went to Fancy Farm and you won and you pulled off a victory, then you're thinking, hey, I need to go to Fancy Farm every year. So it started out kind of like that. And then the next thing you know, it built and built and built. And then it became, it's kind of like our own political Super Bowl, really.
Yeah, I always akin it to the "Oh Brother, Where Art Thou" of Kentucky. You know what I mean? If you've ever seen that movie, kind of know.
Yeah.
But anyway, did I miss it, or you went down the lineup of who was there? Correct?
No, I didn't get all the way down. So let me go down. Let me go back to that real quick. But I just wanted to make sure people knew that this is just one segment of a great picnic, great food, and great. There's a lot. It's like games and bingo and all kinds of things going on.
And both it's not divisive. They're actually it is divisive, but both parties are invited. Whichever candidates are running for whatever race. Of course, they do their local race there, and then the bigger state tickets like a governor, a treasurer, etc. All of those are there. I think I know you're going down the list because you had Mark Metcalf, the.
Yeah. So
state.
Let me try to see if I can't get this this list back out here. Hold on a second. Is it kind of flipped on me here a little bit? I gotta hit the button again here. So, we had. This is not quite in order the way it went, but I'll try to put it in order. So. Stephen Elder is the leader of the committee at St. Jerome's Picnic for the political speeches. So he's kind of like the not the chair, but chairman, or you might call him the. It's like at the county fair. You have the different stewards of different events and things like that, right? And the superintendents. So he basically is the leader of that committee. That runs the political speeches. He spoke and he introduced Ashley Watts, who was again we said we talked about who she was and how great she did, and then she is the one that actually I think that called up after delivering several jabs on both sides of the aisle. Then she and a few to Mitch McConnell. Then they gave they then introduced Mitch McConnell as and gave him an award of basically I don't know what they called it, but it's like a lifetime achievement type deal. And so then he came up and gave his speech. Went really well. There was people booing and people trying to
Yeah, I think there was even protests during a couple of the candidates where, no more war. I think, in fact, when Mitch was speaking...
They were like sign that they said, ceasefire now, ceasefire now.
Yeah, that was all during Mitch's speech. At first, he got stumbled, but then he was like, nah, I'm good. I got this, like an old pro, and he went right down the speech regardless of the banter.
Well, yeah, he made sure to stop and hear what they were saying.
He did, and then he just said, well,
and then he went on. Yeah, and then it was good. It wasn't like he had a frozen some moment or anything like that. I don't want people to think that.
Yeah, no. But he was calculated. It was
very calculated. Yeah, he took a moment, heard what they were saying, and then he went on with his speech, and it was it was very nice and very good, and it kind of set things up for the tone for the rest, because the big position next year. It's local elections most.
We'll get into that in a second. But here's the list.
But it is so you had then the candidates for the U.S. Senate. You had Andy Barr, which is U.S. representative out of the Lexington area, Republican. You had former state attorney general Daniel Cameron. And then you had Kentucky entrepreneur Nate Morris. Now, these are three right now, the three front runners on the Republican side. No Democrat candidate or expected candidate had accepted a bid. There's only one Democrat that even spoke there, and I believe that
was the one in the Comer race, I believe, for the House.
So, but Jamie Comer spoke and talked, and then. Like I said, the one person that John Drew Williams, that was his name? He's the lone Democrat there, and he stood up and he's running against James Comer for his seat. Now it's widely expected and was talked about a lot that Jamie Comer is going to run for governor.
It was practically laid out.
Yeah, I mean, it was basically said that he's going to run for governor. There were people who were during their speeches that were supporting him and for governor, and I think that's pretty much a done deal. Now that's not for another 2 years, so next year's local elections and then the following year statewide elections, and that works out because then Jamie Comer doesn't have to give up his seat if he's running for the Republican
for the
nomination.
ticket. So assuming he made governor, if he didn't make governor, he'd still go back to the House.
Right, exactly.
But that's the way the timing works. Yeah.
Right. So then we had Russell Coleman, Attorney General Russell Coleman spoke. Commissioner of Agriculture Jonathan Schell spoke. Let's see. State Senator Jason Howell. State Representative Kim Holloway. Now those are two that represent that in that area down there. Kind of like Nancy Tate is in our district. These are Nancy Tate and Steve Meredith are our state representative and senator. These are the folks for down in the Fancy Farm area.
Sure.
And then we finished up with I think we said Mark Metcalf, but Mark Metcalf finished up the day, and all the speeches were great. Really, I mean, there were some barbs, but. I think that Mark Metcalf is doing an excellent job as our treasurer, and we talked about that a little bit while we were down there. That he is, he's, a lot of people are like, well, what does the treasurer do? But the treasurer's got a big job, and that they don't just take your money, but they're also looking at to see, hey, what money is owed to Kentuckians out there that's been like sitting in a bank or in an insurance company or whatever. Well, a lot of people don't realize that those companies can't keep that money. If a money is owed to you from an outside source, from a bank or something in Kentucky, that money has to be sent to the treasurers to find out until somebody claims it, because they're not allowed to keep it.
That's right.
They can't keep it on their books. So
that's why we did that episode. We got like $1 million and something change here. In Meade
and so just in Meade County, we had over $1 million worth of unclaimed money that we could go and get. So we
hold on a second. I got to call in right here. Let me see if I can connect this real fast. Keep talking, Mark.
Okay, so and coming up next year, we have the local elections and such, and we didn't really get into that. We don't get into that a lot, but we have the judge executive, the state representative race here locally. So, but every local position is up for grabs next year, with the exception of some of the school board and things like that. Those that have like some offset years of service and such. So they don't all come up at the same time, is what I'm trying to say. So
pulling in
who do we have?
One of our awesome candidates here. So give me a second while I pull him up on
All right. So, all right. Well, Steve's working on the technology, so he hasn't told me who it is yet. He's trying to surprise me here. So, but anyway, Fancy Farm was great. We had, if you get down there, man, the food is really, really good. I mean, they give you a nice big. They have mutton and pork and chicken. The fried chicken is incredible. And it's it's really, really, it's a great time. And everybody should go down and visit Fancy Farm.
So,
Mark, you had more fun at Fancy Farm than I did.
Hey, I want to welcome Daniel Cameron to the show.
Daniel.
First of all, thanks for calling us, man. I thought the Fancy Farm was great. Daniel just called me. Mark, you were talking, and he said, you guys are on, aren't you? And I said, yes, sir, we're live. And so I said, come on, man, just come on. We're just now talking about who all was there, and we were actually about to grade you. I was going to give you a grade and tell you how you did.
Oh, no.
Well, we, Daniel has said that, but it's a little bit easier from our side of the stage than it is on your side of the stage. But not too many people are reaching out and pointing at us and saying, hey, you're giving all the barbs and things to the media.
Yeah. Well, my mantra is always, just get through without getting shut down by the
song.
The song or getting pulled off the stage. So as long as I do that, I'm okay.
Yeah. Actually, so I'm just going to go down the list. There were 3 that spoke for the candidacy. You went down and you got the draw for first. Did you got last on the dinner the night before? Is that right, or did you get first or middle on the dinner the night before?
I honestly, all of it, as your listeners will probably understand. I mean, you basically start with a lunch on Friday, which is there in McCracken County, and then you're the night before in Fancy Farm in Marshall County. Yeah. Honestly, to be candid with you, I can't even remember where I was in the order. I think I was last, but I could have been middle. I know I wasn't first. I do remember that. So,
well, and so my point to that is you were first. So that means that anything you say can and will be thrown in against you in their next and the follow-ups, right?
Yeah.
But what was funny is that even though you went first, and this is, I give you an 8, and I don't give anybody higher than an 8, and here's why. Because we're not closer to the primary yet, and then we've got the general election. So next year's is going to be so intense, right? Because you're probably going to have more presidents. It's intense now. But what I do have, and you're at the 8, and it's...
That's good. I'll take it.
Yeah. So the 8 is because... you didn't get the chance to come back and throw an extra barb, and because your placement in the first place. But I didn't give anybody above, so Barb to me got a, this is Steve Lake's opinion. This has nothing to do with the messenger or anybody else.
This whole thing is our election. Is our opinion.
So. Yeah. So, and the reason why is because it was so poised. It was well positioned. You had all of your, the things that I wanted to hear as a voter were there. The jabs were still there. But the reconciliation of what the position was for and why you were going for it was phenomenal. Barr got a like a 7.5.6 kind of. I'm hovering in there.
Yeah.
The turnoff for me on the Barr spiel was super simple. He said, "I wrote that bill." No, you participated in writing that bill, and when you start using I instead of we, you just left out me, and that's a big turnoff for me, right? And then, so he was there, and then I'm going to tell you, it was hard. I always try to give everybody consideration, but the minute you start turning south and throwing darts, and it feels like an attack against me and my family, you're out, dude. You're out. So you just went well below a 3, and you should not be promoted with others. That's it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, no, I'm with you on that. And, I felt like we had a strong showing over the 2 days. And, of course, it culminates at Fancy Farm. Felt like we got a lot of good momentum out of it. And, it's one of those things that's a rite of passage every year, that you got to do. Of course, that has quickly become a rite of passage just for Republicans because Democrats don't even show up anymore.
Isn't that embarrassing, though? Like, they're invited. They're invited.
Yeah.
So another comment too. I did comment. We did comment before you came on the show. I think the one thing that was interesting is this is a private organization. They don't have to let you speak. While they do,
I think that's right. Yeah. No, they
so
don't.
while they send out the invites and make it very open, the one thing that I did notice is they didn't allow the other candidates to speak that were there, but they did make a presence. Mark and I had talked about those. Candidates
we talked. We're a little disappointed. We like to err on the side of letting people speak and letting people be heard. I think that's part of it, but but I also respect the fact that it's their event. They can choose who speaks.
Mark, Mark, Steve, either one of you won't get any disagreement from me on that. I actually like Mike Ferris. Mike's from my hometown, and I know Michael. I know his wife, and know a little bit about their family. And he's a fighter, and he's got a real reason to be in this race, and appreciate somebody. I always appreciate somebody that jumps in a race, isn't there to disparage other candidates, has a vision. And look, I err on the side of you guys, and let more speak and that sort of thing. And I know Michael's doing a good job of trying to run in this race as well.
Did you and your wife have fun?
Yeah, we always, it's as I don't know if you all heard this Friday night, but Thursday was our 5-year anniversary.
Yeah.
So it was it was kind of like yes, thank you. It was like an anniversary trip for us. So she enjoys going down, and it's, as I mentioned, it's kind of like a family reunion. You see folks that just been kind to us as a family over the years and have been supportive of us. And so, we enjoy getting down there, and of course you eat some good food while you're there as well. So there's nothing better than Fancy Farm Weekend.
There's almost nothing like it that I've ever been to. And it's a church picnic. It's a very large church picnic. I don't know if it's a very large church picnic because of the number of people in the area but Fancy Farm grows and grows and grows during that event. And I think a lot of it is all the politics that's talked. It brings those people in, and it's a big deal, and it's so much fun. I mean, we've talked about it. Steve and I've talked about it. Hey, how come we can't do something like that here? And just but after 145 years,
it's hard to take that off the chopping block.
It is. Yeah. How would you even get started? And we even talked to Stephen Eldridge about this a little bit. How did it get started? And that's where a lot of the information came about. Happy Chandler
and, Governor,
I mean, this is the 145th Fancy Farm, but it's not necessarily the 145th. It's not the 145th political speeches, right?
Yeah,
it's but it's an awesome event, and everybody, in my opinion, everybody who's involved or at least interested in politics should go at least once.
Yeah.
It is quintessential Kentucky. I mean, it's unique to our state. No other state or Commonwealth can boast that they have this sort of event that occurs. As you try to explain it. For instance, so you guys, we have a community group at church, and 2 of our friends from our community group. It's a small group. We meet on Monday nights. They came down to the event, Molly and Sam Brewer, and for an outsider, if you will, something that you don't have great familiarity with, they were like, "Oh my goodness, this is really fun." I mean, you kind of jostle with other candidates or other opponents on the stage, and you do a little light ribbing and that sort of thing. But it really is, Mark, to your point, something that I think a lot of Kentuckians should at least experience once, because it's just like it's a fun day trip. And some people I know, end it by going to Patty's, restaurant on the way back home.
We talked about that because we were like, we should go do that too. We've Steve and I have never done. We usually are like, by the time it's over, we're like, let's get out, right? Let's go. But right. We talked about making it a weekend. Coming down on like a Thursday night or something, being there for every part of the events, and then coming and then not coming home until like Sunday or something, so we can kind of experience it, hang out with some folks that we don't usually get to hang out with and things like that.
Yeah, I was trying to go down in the RV, and I was thinking, how people put the states on their RV of every place they travel, and I would just put everybody's election sticker running around the RV and just cover it up, because it's not going to be worth anything by the time I put it to retirement, So anyway, hey, I love that about you though. You're still actively kicking it with your church group while you're trying to run all over this state and make these engagement. And I know it's hard running a race. Mark and I were just talking about encouraging folks to run in a race. And you took some barbs where they, bashed you because of the Brashear race and the governor's race. Yeah. But man, I mean, your response and how you're handling it. This is not a governor's race. This is a Senate seat.
Yeah.
Completely different dynamic. You did very well in the polls across the state.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So for them to try to take that away from you up against all of, and this is what I try to tell people. This is why you need to be educated in the election process. Regardless, so much money gets pumped into this state when it's anything that's anti-Jesus, anti-life, we don't want this to spur up in Kentucky because we don't want it to spur up everywhere else. And we feel like we're the little guys, and we need somebody that's going to be a little guy that's going to go fight and scrap, but also is going to be poised as a
statesman.
A statesman. Thank you. We say that word all the time. Yeah. Stately.
That's right.
We don't need a dagger fight with words. We need a powerful. I'll go back to your background. I mean, and I've asked you this directly. I said, "Are you sure you don't want to be on a Supreme Court justice?" And no, you want to fight. You know how to use the law. You know how to use the words. Yeah. And in a statesman way, you don't try to beat people with. You can put your vocabulary together and slap somebody pretty good. You know what I mean? Without having to go down the road of unstatesmanship.
Sure. Yeah, I try to be a winsome voice, not somebody who disparages people or is condescending. I mean, it's just as you guys and I have talked about before. I want to reflect my relationship with Christ, and I'm not going to always do it perfectly. There'll be something sometimes that I fall short of that, but at the end of the day, I know that my identity is in Him, and I want that to be reflected in how I conduct myself in this campaign. And it's I mentioned our small group. I am actually going to miss this upcoming Monday because I'll be in Scott County for an event. But I mentioned them because they truly have been a great encouragement to me and Mackenzie. I mean, they're praying for us. I mean, not only, we talked about this the last time I was on, my mom is on her knees praying for us daily. Yep. But, it's good to have a strong group at church that's, praying for us, supporting us. I mean, they, drove the 3.5, 4 hours. Sure. Got another guy, Aaron Klein from my community group. He made the drive as well to, spend time with us. So yeah, it was a great weekend. I mean,
it's so important to have. It's so important to have that, not just a political support structure, but to have that spiritual support structure behind you, helping lift you up, reminding you who you are, and keeping you grounded in all this, right? Because you can see how people get lost in this process, and I think that it's very commendable, and you've done a very good job, and keeping that ground, that grounding and such. Hey, Daniel, I don't want to put you on the spot or anything, but I wanted to ask you a question. I've been trying to get a hold of your team. Our pastor would like to invite you to come speak at our church one Sunday if you have an opportunity to do that. So
we can follow up with you. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. He's very excited about your faith, and if you can come share that with the congregation and talk a little bit about that, he would like to give you that opportunity if you want to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
are you still there? Hold on a second.
We might have lost Daniel.
I got you, Daniel. Hold on a second. It switched for a second. Go ahead.
Nope.
I'm back. You're back.
Hear me?
Yep, got you back.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry about that. Yeah, no, I was just saying, I'd love to, and I'll let Taylor know, but you all can text me directly as well. But
sure.
I'd love to come and share with the congregation at some point.
Perfect.
Yeah, that'd be great.
I'm going to come at you with a couple of news since I got you. You saw today's leading news about Apple. Well, it's, yeah, it is today. Apple commits $2.5 billion to Corning and Harrodsburg for precision glass manufacturing.
Yeah.
How do you, where do you think, Apple made some promises before and stuff, and I know that that's always a question, but that looks hopeful for Kentucky. Your thoughts on it?
Man, that's a big deal. I was in Muhlenberg County last night, and they have an event called Muhlenberg Matters.
Mm-hmm.
And while I was speaking to them, I was talking about the fact that President Trump has been a president for the Commonwealth and for rural communities.
Yeah,
and this $2+ billion investment in Harrodsburg is just another example of a president that's looking out for rural America. And think about this as well. Not only did you have that investment yesterday, but you also had it paired with a president that, again, whether you live in Meade County, whether you live in Hardin County, like, this is common sense. A president that says we should not in our census count undocumented or illegals that are living in this country.
Absolutely.
Most people I know agree with that.
Yeah, it's a no-brainer.
Why would it give you extra representation for somebody who's not here lawfully?
I mean, it steals more from Kentucky than it does anybody else because we're a small state. Small states.
Right.
Yeah, it dilutes our votes. Yeah.
So here is a president who, again, not only in word but also in deed is fighting for our rural communities. Is empowering the rural community and our voters. Because to your point, Mark, look, if you have a blue city that is trying to inflate their numbers so that they can get more House seats, that is at the expense of Kentucky and our rural communities.
That's right.
So here's a president. Here's a president that's saying, no, we're not going to play this game anymore where you all get to inflate your population because you are including illegals in your numbers. I mean, this is, again, a president that acknowledges that we got to take care of our people, that common sense has to mean something. And whether it's $2.5 billion in Harrodsburg or empowering our coal and natural gas communities and expanding the footprint of those factories so that they can be built here in America again. I mean, again, this is a president that's working for us, and it's exciting to see.
Yeah, and I hope we see more of that growth in industry. I always talk about Meade County. We've got Nucor, Monument Chemical, and there's a reason why we're growing here is because, we've got great passage from 64 across our bypass and then bypass down to 65, and we've got great access to Meade County in this rural setting.
And I'm going to say, I'm going to add to that.
Yeah,
because, we talk about where we are because of the river and things, and that has a lot to do with it. But we also have great workers here.
Yes,
we have great workers who've been moving, who's not just in Meade County, but Hardin County, Breck County, who've had to travel 30, 40 miles outside of the county for years and years and years and decades and generations to get work. And then, so we become more of a bedroom community. These companies are giving us opportunities now to stay home, keep more money here locally. Yes, it costs us a little bit more for a house or whatever, but that's what happens when you grow up and you actually have
infrastructure.
You have to have infrastructure and things. I mean, another thing that we haven't talked about is the fact that the AI infrastructure that down in Paducah that was announced, right? That's another big.
That's huge.
That's another one big from President
the
Trump.
data source center.
Yeah, and you got to give credit where credit is due. I mean, President Trump is working hard for rural America and Kentucky in general, and I think that. Our next senator has to be somebody who will support that.
So, you bring up another point, and I'll throw this out, and Dan, you can chime in on how you feel about it. But my thing is it takes a long time to become a settled into the position. You can't just be a one-and-done senator. You can't be a one-and-done House, especially at the federal government, because it takes time to build those relationships if you're going to have any legislation or appointment to a committee. Look at Brett Guthrie. I mean, Brett has been nugging, a former officer in the United States Army, a West Point graduate.
Right.
He's now, he's on the committee slapping the table in the House to bring across the one big beautiful bill to the Senate, right?
Right.
If he was a one and done senator, or all we had were one and done House of Representatives, we would never get anywhere. That's why Mitch McConnell, as good or bad as you might hate him, he did a lot for Kentucky because of the length of tour, and he surpassed Robert C. Byrd, right? So with that presentation down in Paducah, when we get somebody in that Senate seat, we need them to build a strong relationship. We don't need to pull out of our positions that we've already have strongholds in the House. So that's one of the things that I also say, Andy, why are you leaving something that you've worked so hard to build a stronghold for somebody else to come back in and have to start over? Now we're going to have two seats that we have to start over in order to build strong relationships in the House and in the Senate to keep those types of things coming to Kentucky. And that's what I always throw up to people when you think about that. Why would you step out of that seat that you've built a stronghold in a firm foundation and a strong backing in the House that people stop and listen to you regardless of aisle in order to help us get legislation across the table?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a really strong point, and your point about relationships. And, of course, I've built relationships with some of the folks that are in the Senate now, whether it's Eric Schmidt. We served as attorneys general together, and I count him as a dear friend. Ashley Moody, who's now a senator from Florida, she was an attorney general, and again, count her as a dear friend. I know Steve Daines, Senator Daines, very well.
Yeah.
So I'm building those relationships, and yes, I think it's important for to have someone that is fighting for the Commonwealth and recognizes that you have to build those bridges with other senators there to get things done for Kentucky.
Yeah, I just don't want to see us have a gap in Kentucky because one leaves a seat to go sit on the other side. That's my concern. But
I know we send people, we send senators and representatives to represent us. But you also have to remember that when they get into those situations, the people that they're working with from other states have to trust them.
Yeah,
you have to build trust between those coalitions and things, and build some consensus to be able to move things forward. And we got to remember that it's not always about getting money back to Kentucky. It's making sure that we're not spending money on things that we don't need.
Sure,
that things that we don't want. Yeah. I mean, because that's the best thing we can do is make sure that we're spending our money soundly and fiscally soundly and be good stewards worth of money. That we as Americans send up there. I mean, it's our money. We're just asking you to, we're asking the representatives and the senators to take care of it, make sure that they're spending it as wisely as possible, put it in investing in those things that will bring back as much for all of all the citizens. Yes, we want to keep some of our stuff, some of that money come back to Kentucky for our roads and for our and for to help us entice new businesses to move here, so that we can kind of become more self-sustaining and not have to have as much federal money. That should be every state's goal, is to run on their own.
Yeah. Funny story. If you watch earlier this week, or I think it was earlier this week, and Erlene and I had on the Meade County High School student government. We got to talk to our young elected officials inside of the high school, which was a lot of fun. Daniel, you would get a kick out of it if you were in the room. I should do that again, and then have you walk in the room, and then they're like, oh, and it would be a neat experience for them. But I want to help you, because I know you're going to go spend some time with your family. I know you got constituents to talk to, and I'm super excited to share your story on the podcast today. I want to give you two opportunities here as we give you a final thought. Congratulations, 3 years abortion free in the state of Kentucky. And then I want to give you one more final thought to add to that, because that's because of the work you did when you were the Attorney General. And, they're building on that now in the state of Kentucky because of the work you laid in place and the fight that you fought with the Supreme Court of Kentucky, which is phenomenal, right? But I also want to give you one more final thought, that because of that, women who have children that die because of a pregnancy issue not related to abortion, their children don't get thrown away now. That was legislation that was passed and helped fought by the legislators. And it's because of that groundwork, somebody can now bury that child and put it to rest instead of it being thrown out in the trash because it's being considered a human instead of just bodily
cells.
waste.
Yeah.
So I want to give you that opportunity to, one, say thank you for the work you did for our state and setting a precedent in our nation. That's an amazing accomplishment, especially on such a significant constitutional problem, right? And just give you the opportunity to speak to that. Are you still there? Uh-oh. Hold on, it did it again. I don't know why it keeps doing that, Mark. It switches for. All right, you're there, Daniel. I'm sorry. Throw it back at you.
No. I need to jump off here, but let me just say, look, I was put in the position to enforce the laws of our state and or to defend the laws of our state and fight for those laws, and it obviously fighting for life and standing up for those that can't speak for themselves was, something I was very grateful for the opportunity to be able to do. And I know there's continued to be, work done, whether it's the baby boxes or other work that's happening throughout the state. So we, continue to be a state that respects life and wants to look out for moms. And I think that's really critical for us, is to continue to look out for moms and find ways to ensure that, we take care of those that need help and are looking for answers. And, there are pregnancy centers all across the state that are really trying to help moms. And, whether it's with resources or with education. My mom works at a pregnancy center in E-Town, and the Haven's doing some really good work, and certainly grateful again for pregnancy centers all across Kentucky that are looking out for moms and frankly are bringing dads into the fold as well, because
Amen.
A dad of two boys, I know how important it is to have a father figure there, and so there's a lot of good work going on around life in Kentucky, and I was grateful to be a part of it.
Very good. Well, Daniel, thanks for joining us today. I mean, it was a great impromptu call in. I guess fortuitous that we were on the air when you called, and that's right. That's awesome.
Hey, I'll get in touch with you on a follow-up. Thanks, Daniel. Keep running your race, and we look forward to seeing great things.
Good luck, Daniel.
Good
luck.
Sir.
Bye.
Well, that was impromptu, but I'm glad we got to talk about those news topics that were up. Obviously not just a promo for the campaign, but
I expected this to be, I was a little stressed about, what are we going to talk about today? Fancy Farm was a number one, but hey, that call in was, a blessing to the show. We were able to, put some good stuff out there and talk to Daniel about what's important to him and some of the things that some questions we had, and get his perspective on Fancy Farm was really cool.
Yeah, no, it was great, and I just think it's a tough race right now until we get closer to the primary, because that's when you'll see the people engage a little bit more.
Because we were talking about Andy Barr, and there's a scenario that could play out that Andy Barr doesn't have if Andy Barr doesn't get the poll support. Before the 1st of January, it's quite possible that he just runs for his seat, stays in the
House,
stays in the House, and runs again next year. But if he can't, in Kentucky, you can't run. You can't be on multiple. Even in the primary, you can't.
He's gonna have to decide.
You have to decide between one or the other. I think Andy Barr is a good candidate for Senate. I think that he's. I think he would be a very excellent senator as well.
Yeah.
I think Daniel Cameron would be an excellent choice. I think Daniel, we've known Daniel for a long time.
Sure.
So we are, we probably act a little more friendly towards Daniel than we do anybody, because we know him.
Yeah, we have a closer relationship.
He's from
Hardin County, and
he went to Central Hardin, and he's played football against Meade County. Meade County, we've seen him play football and such growing up, and when he was growing up.
And we recently had Brett Guthrie, we had Andy Barr that was here, and then the other gentleman that's Hardin County, that's
Michael Harris.
Michael Harris, thank you. I was drawing a blank. That's my old age kicking in. But they've been here in the county and communicating.
And I've enjoyed talking with all of them. Andy Barr, like I said, he's a very viable candidate. I think Michael Ferris is he's passionate and got and I echo what Daniel said about him, that he's got a little bit of a mission of why he's running, and that's an important piece. I don't know that makes a great senator, and I'm not trying to disparage or disparage or anything like that. I'm just saying that to me, you can't come in with just a thought of I'm trying to rock the system. You have to have a plan when you're rocking the system and trying to figure out how are you going to fit into that and work through that. And I'm sure that as he runs through his campaign, that's going to develop and things and become we're going to hear more and more about that.
I think what I also think is good is you were talking about earlier, and I know we're getting close to wrapping it up, but when you encourage somebody to run for a race, I got it. The cards may be stacked up against you. You may not have the budget that you see coming from other candidates and they're well-funded or something like that. But the one thing about running a race that does help you make your point is that if you're willing to go in the race, somebody and more people will often listen to you and say, oh, I didn't even think of that as an issue. Yeah. And it will become part of, and you'll either merge in, and I think we've always encouraged this, people and candidate, okay, well, at one point you're the primary, you were all running because you believed in something, then you should get behind each other. And I've seen that in time after time.
Well, that's one of the things I didn't like about Nate Morris in at Fantasy Farm is that it wasn't just I mean, he was just
hateful.
He was hateful and angry and mean. I mean, there's barbs.
That doesn't
and then
work for the Democratic Party. What makes you think that's going to work for the Republican Party?
It felt like it just didn't resonate with me. I mean, I was ready for all the barbs and things, but his speech to me was more hate than it was anything. It just it didn't appeal to me at all. So
no, well, listen. Exciting that we had a special guest on. Thank you for calling in, Daniel. As always, keep it up, keep out in the race, and keep leaning in. Mark, as always, getting to spend my Friday afternoon before the end of the evening with you is always great on Kentucky Talks.
It's a great time. I know we're looking for another day to do this because it becomes a little bit tough on Friday nights, but I appreciate you hanging in there with me, Steve.
We had a great day. For everybody out there, tune in Fridays, listen to it later. You can find us on Spotify, Facebook, YouTube. Go to the YouTube, like, subscribe, share. We're just getting into the Kentucky things that are happening to Kentucky people, and like us or love us, we're going to tell you the truth.
We'll get into our cell phone debate a little bit more on the next show. We're going to talk about that today. But
Apple versus Android.
Yeah, we're going to talk about
Where
that a little bit.
Where do you sit? Make a comment. We'll look for you again real soon.
Thanks,
you guys
everyone.
Have a great night.
Have a good night.
Oh, man, you got to keep waving. Just keep waving, Mark. I got you up on screen. They love it. Hold on. Kentucky Talks. There we go.